When you say product design, I start to think about industrial design. And industrial design is the overall category of creating objects, manufactured objects for a purpose. And I think that definition is changing. So when I think of product design, we're thinking of design of objects, services, and experiences. So it's not just a product. When we think of a product, we think of we're going to make this thing to do that. But I think we've gone beyond that. That sort of the history of this has been lifestyles. That we now choose between how we want things to be part of our life. That, you drive an Audi, or you drive a Chevy, or you pick Ralph Lauren, or you pick Calvin Klein. And it's how those fit your persona. We all have personas. It's how we want to present our vision of ourselves to other people. And for me, product design is getting beyond how we want to present ourselves to why we want to present ourselves that way. What are the reasons? What is going on in our mind to want to present ourselves in that way? Because once you get there, then you're really emotionally connecting with someone. And then you can fulfill those deeper needs. So when I think of product design, that's really what we're talking about, is how can we fulfill those needs of persona, and fulfill those needs of persona in terms of creating objects, services, and environments. Does that make sense?
When you say getting into the background of their persona, the why of their persona, then immediately how?
It's a great question. So I think the only way to do that is through really in-depth conversations. None of us want to reveal our reasons why. That it's only through question after question after question to understand why they're making those decisions. Then you can start to understand that persona. Because to me, the interesting part is somebody's chosen an Audi over a Mercedes-Benz. Audi and Mercedes-Benz are in the same product categories, but one person sees themselves as an Audi person, another person sees themselves as a Mercedes-Benz person. Why? What is it about one product that is attractive to them in a different way than the other product? It's not until you get to the why, because you're really dealing on a superficial level on the Audi versus Mercedes-Benz level. It's not until you get to the why where you can really start to develop products for people. And when I say products, I'm being a little bit careful about product, sort of rethinking that whole idea.
So are you, when you say them, is this, I'm an Audi corporation, so am I looking at the individual, or am I looking at all the people who buy Audis and trying to understand why they buy Audis as a group, a cohort, rather than just an individual?
So I believe that all of design is based on a user. So first you have to identify that user. The user in the United States is going to be different than the user in Japan. So an Audi user in Japan is going to have different needs. So how can you create one product that satisfies both of those needs? And that's sort of where design is going. Is the term has been universal design, but universal design has been to design for people with disabilities. And universal design is now becoming, this sort of going back to Benetton. Benetton used to create these ads of these multicultural users. That's where we're all going. That the cultural differences are becoming less and less. So to try to answer the question, it's how do you create for that user? And Audi's actually a great example. 10 years ago, they went in and they really did some market analysis. What do their users want? Then developing for that. The user ended up telling them, we want the status and the durability of a Mercedes-Benz, but we don't want the persona of a Mercedes-Benz. The persona of a Mercedes-Benz was an older golf player that goes to a country club.
Okay, yeah.
But how do you then take that persona and make it for a new generation?
Okay.
And that's why Audi's been successful.
Oh. So they understand the why behind the people who they hope will buy Audis and are going for that group. Yeah, that makes sense.
Am I answering the question in terms of the future of product? And when I say product, I mean in terms of object, service, environment, because I don't see them as separate any longer.
I'm not sure I see the difference. I don't, product designers, haven't they always looked at the consumer and what they want and why?
Sorry, I'm pausing because I feel like I'm going to offend a lot of designers. Because in reality, most designers end up designing for themselves.
Okay, I can understand that.
And that you're letting your ego drive the process. And some of that's necessary. In order to be able to create anything, you need to be able to let your ego out and create. But are you creating for yourself, or are you creating for other people? And to me, that's sort of the big shift that's happening, is that I don't no longer need a designer. I can now print things from home. I can create my own vision of how I want things to be for myself. So the designer then becomes part of the persona that I want to present.
So I'm designing my own, but I'm not designing my own car.
I don't think that's that far off. And in a lot of ways you are. Mini, you can now go online and pick the colors of your rear view mirrors, pick the colors of the lighting inside your car, the piping on-side the seats, the design on the top of the roof. So you're getting pretty customized.
Pretty close to.
And that's today.
Yeah.
So 10 years from now, you're going to be able to get pretty close to designing your own car.
I'll have my own 3D printer for a car.
Yes. Well, we're already at we're already at a point of being able to 3D print a house. So if you can 3D print a house, and then you can become the designer of the 3D printed house.
And furniture and everything.
Exactly. So that sort of changes the whole idea of
A product designer, because he's going to be, or she is going to be copied, and then everybody makes their own product.
Thank you.
And the product designer is out of business.
or we're all designing for ourselves, and everybody becomes a designer. And you can then pick and choose from the filters that you want for design.
So designers would become more background options.
There you go.
Customizing, that kind of a thing.
Yes. So the example that I'm using is on Instagram, you can post photos. But now people have created Instagram accounts where they're creating lifestyles. And the people like the way those photos look so much that the Instagram user is now selling a filter of how their photos look. So I
Give me
can,
an example.
so you can go online and you can say, I like the look of this Instagram user and the way they're presenting themselves. I can then buy a filter from Adobe and I can then use how they present their photos. So my photos of me then look like
They're a copy of them?
not copy. It's now an image of me
Right.
that looks like them.
But it's a copy of their, with me in it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's, but now this is a photo, instead of a photo of you, it's now a photo of me that looks like them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now,
And so then doing that, I take on that persona,
exactly,
and then I feel.
exactly. But to me, the interesting part is getting beyond that persona. It's getting to, why did you pick that persona? What is in your makeup that makes you want to?
So who is looking at that?
Yes, because
Who would be looking at that?
who as in,
Well, all right, I take this Instagram photo and I make me, and that's my new persona, but who cares? I mean, who would be looking
there's
at that and,
hundreds of thousands of people who are now looking at these photos and trying to imagine their lives like the lives of the people that are being photographed. And then they want to create enough followers so that other people are then following them. It's
and
a
by
photo.
following, it's making me feel important.
It's making me feel important, and it can also make me money.
Oh, okay, so there is a monetary thing in this.
So you,
So everybody who wants my persona, because you're selling this.
yep.
Oh, so that's what, okay, all
But
right.
I'm also selling my clothing. I'm selling the object of my life. I'm selling the trips that I do.
Oh,
So I'm selling all of
oh,
this.
okay, so it is monetized.
Absolutely.
So it's a totally different way of thinking of a product. It's all over the place and, oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah, I didn't realize you could monetize it. Oh, wow, yeah,
So it's getting beyond this idea of product.
yeah.
The product could then be the person's vision of how they see things.
Yeah,